Rohan and the Treasure of Learning. In a quiet town by the river, there lived a boy named Rohan. Rohan was 7 years old, just like many of you watching this story today. He was smart, funny, and loved to run around with his friends. But Rohan had one little problem: he didn't really enjoy studying. When his teacher gave homework, he would push it aside. When his mother asked him to read, he would say, "I'll do it later." And when his grandfather reminded him to practice writing, Rohan would laugh and run outside to play cricket instead. One evening, his grandfather sat beside him and said, "Rohan, do you know why I can fix radios and carve toys from wood even though I am old? It's because I learned those skills when I was young. What you learn early will stay with you forever." Rohan didn't understand at first. He thought, why should I waste time reading when I can play outside? But soon, something happened that began to change his mind. A few days later, their teacher gave the children a little storybook. "Everyone must read this at home and come back tomorrow ready to tell the story in class." Rohan was excited to go home, but instead of opening the book, he tossed it on his bed and ran off to play cricket. The next morning, when the teacher called him to share the story, Rohan froze. He had no idea what the book was about. His classmates giggled, and his cheeks turned red. That evening, he felt sad. His grandfather noticed and asked, "What happened, my boy?" Rohan whispered, "I couldn't tell the story because I didn't read the book." His grandfather put his hand on Rohan's shoulder. "Now you see, Rohan. Learning is like planting a seed. If you take care of it while young, it will grow into a strong tree. If you ignore it, the soil stays empty." This time, Rohan listened carefully. The next day, instead of rushing outside, he sat down with the storybook. At first, it felt hard. The words looked big and confusing. But slowly, one word made sense, then another, then a whole line. He read 1 page that day. The next day, he read 2. Then 3. And before long, Rohan could read whole stories by himself. Weeks passed, and something wonderful happened. Rohan started answering questions in class. His teacher noticed his hand shooting up more often. His friends were surprised too. "Wow, Rohan, you're so good at this now," said Ao. Rohan smiled. "I just started practicing a little every day." One afternoon, the teacher announced, "Who can come to the front and explain how rain falls from the clouds?" Many children looked nervous. But Rohan remembered what he had read in a science book. He stood up slowly, walked to the front, and explained, "Water from rivers and seas goes up into the sky as vapor, becomes clouds, and then falls back down as rain." The class clapped loudly, and the teacher said, "Excellent, Rohan. You have been learning, and it shows." That evening, Rohan told his grandfather what had happened. The old man chuckled. "Knowledge gives you courage, my boy. The more you learn now, the braver you will be tomorrow." From then on, Rohan treated learning like a treasure hunt. Every new word, every new lesson, and every skill was like a gold coin he was putting inside his treasure chest. He began to see that books were not boring at all, they were full of secrets waiting to be discovered. He still played cricket with his friends, but he always made time to read, write, and practice his lessons first. Slowly, his friends noticed something too. Whenever someone's bicycle chain broke, Rohan remembered what he had learned about machines and helped fix it. When younger children struggled with spelling, Rohan sat with them under the mango tree and read stories aloud. even adults in the village began asking him little questions. And Rohan always found answers, because he had trained his mind to keep learning. Years passed, and Rohan grew older. The boy who once thought studying was boring became one of the brightest in the town. He was able to solve big problems, travel to new places, and build bridges that connected villages together. One evening, when the sun painted the sky orange, Rohan sat beside his grandfather by the river. The old man smiled and said, "Do you remember the day you ignored your little storybook?" Rohan nodded with a laugh. "Yes, Grandpa. That day I was too lazy. But if I had not changed, I would have missed all the wonderful things I've achieved. Now I understand that learning early is the greatest gift anyone can give themselves." His grandfather nodded proudly. "You see, a tree gives fruit because someone planted it long ago. You planted your learning early, and today you are enjoying the fruits." Rohan looked up at the stars and whispered to himself, "If I had not started learning when I was young, I would have been empty today. I am glad I put effort into my learning. I would have put more effort to my study if I knew how much it would help me in the future." And from that day on, every child in the town looked up to Rohan, not just for his skills but for his wisdom. They too wanted to plant their seeds of learning early, so they could enjoy the fruits in the future. Backhand index pointing right, kids. What about you? Will you start planting your seeds of learning today? Remember, the more effort you put into your studies now, the brighter your tomorrow will be.